Okay, let's do this one. This is the Great Reset. I'm not familiar with what conspiracy people think the Great Reset is. I've heard some of them throw the term around. So I think this video is going to basically explain what they think the Great Reset is and what it'll be. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. Nobody celebrates Thanksgiving to give thanks, Charlie. We do it to eat all the turkey and watch Detroit Lions get railroaded. And then Chief Tony with 40 bits. Oh no, Charlie Kirk has a dumb take. Someone alert the press. This never happens.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, and we will be, and we will be.
Guys, this is just George H.W. Bush trying to do that, like, mid to late 90s end of history bullshit where they're like, yay, the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. Clearly, peace and democracy and intelligence will succeed. And everyone, you know, 9/11 hasn't happened yet, nor is Columbine, so people are like, yay, we did it! We beat history! Democracy will win forever! It's not some evil cabal speech. It's literally him just being like, we're gonna help spread, you know, a democracy around the globe. Team America World Police style. It's stupid and really, really misguided, but it's not a conspiracy. It's just very that era.
We have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again.
We meet here at a moment of testing for Europe and the United States.
Oh, if we have New World Order on the bingo cards, do we have New World Order on here? I don't know if we do. If so, click it, but I'm not sure if it is on here anywhere.
And for the international order that we have worked for generations to build.
Tucker White 94, plot twist. George H.W. Bush was actually referring to Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott. I do not understand wrestling jokes. If this is a wrestling joke, I'm not going to get it. No, it doesn't count as Illuminati unless they say Illuminati, nor does it count as Deep State unless they say Deep State.
Alternative vision argues that ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
When we are successful, and we will be.
Hey, how's everyone doing out there with all the chaos from election and COVID and riots and everything else? This is going to be my second video on the Great Reset, and there is no particular order. Although I provided a lot of context, everything going on, and I did provide some facts and some sources, I felt it, for things taken out of context, or for someone who might not already be thinking of things in this way, where you're looking at things as a whole, as not individual situations, that everything is connected. I want this one to be much more obviously proven, fact-based, to where before you didn't have to do as much looking up, you don't even have to go through the sources. I will be providing an insane amount of sources on this one, much more than last time, but I'll be showing you even more of what I'm talking about. So everyone can follow along, or even people who aren't already looking into these things, that you could just start with this video and you will understand everything in complete context.
Great. I'm excited.
So the first thing I want to start off with is, of course, pretty much the first piece of the puzzle. Joe Biden is being either steered or led by the World Economic Forum.
Hold on. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. For someone with this much work put into presentation, there's no excuse for the sound quality or leaving in a blown take. Yeah, I can excuse, like, there's some green screen stuff going on where, like, the hair isn't completely matted out, but the sound levels being that off, not a big fan. Anyway, what did he say? I missed the first part of that statement.
So the first thing I want to start off with is, of course, pretty much the first piece of the puzzle. Joe Biden is being either steered or led by the World Economic Forum.
The claim is that Joe Biden is being steered or led by the World Economic Forum. Let's take a look at what the World Economic Forum is. World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum, or WEF, based in Colony, Geneva, Canton, Switzerland, is an international NGO founded in 1971. The WEF's mission is stated as committed to improving the state of the world by engaging business, political, academic, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industrial agendas. The WEF hosts an annual meeting at the end of January in Davos, a mountain resort in Graubünden, the Eastern Alps region of Switzerland. The meeting brings together some 3,000 business leaders, international political leaders, economists, celebrities, and journalists for up to 5 days to discuss global issues across 500 sessions. Wind Chanter with 20 bits. I know it's not true, but my brain is lying and telling me I'll never find that Hannah Baha kind of love. I'm sure you'll find someone. Yeah, I caught up on messages. Cool. The organization also convenes some 6 to 8 regional meetings each year in locations across Africa, East Asia, Latin America, and India. But, they're an organization that holds stuff. Let me see if they have, goals or something along those lines. Initiatives, sure. Health. The Global Health Initiative was launched by Kofi Annan at the annual meeting in 2002. The GHI's mission was to engage businesses in public-private partnerships to tackle HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and health systems. The Global Education Initiative, launched during the annual meeting in 2003, brought together international IT companies and governments in Jordan, Egypt, and India. That has resulted in new personal computer hardware being available in their classrooms and more local teachers trained in e-learning. The GEI model, which is scalable and sustainable, now is being used as an educational blueprint in other countries, including Rwanda. On the 19th of January 2017, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, the CEPI, a global initiative to fight epidemics, was launched at the WEF in Davos. The internationally funded initiative aims at securing vaccine supplies for global emergencies and pandemics, and to research new vaccines for tropical diseases that are now more menacing. The project is funded by private and governmental donors, with an initial investment of the U.S. of $460 million from the governments of Germany, Japan, Norway, plus Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Wellcome Trust. 2020 meeting. Between January 21st and 24th, at the early stages of COVID-19 outbreak, CEPI met with leaders from Moderna to establish plans for a COVID-19 vaccine at the Davos gathering, with a total global case number of 274 and total loss of life of the virus at 16 while they were early on. The World Health Organization declared a global health emergency 6 days later. Society. The Water Initiative brings together diverse shareholders such as Alcan Inc., the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, the USAID India, UNDP India, Confederation of Indian Industry, Government Rajasthan, and NetPad Business Foundation, blah, blah, blah. Then they have environmental goals. You get it. They're like an organization that works on global problems. What's wrong with them? What am I supposed to not like about these people? They're basically an organization that appears to be a nonprofit that gets people, both public and private, to work together towards goals of the public health and environmentalism. These are not negative things.
The World Economic Forum controls the United Nations. What else is being controlled by the World Economic Forum and the United Nations is the...
I don't think the World Economic Forum is controlling the United Nations. If they're related, then I'd imagine it would be the opposite. The UN probably has relationships with this organization, but that's fine. This only hits you if you think the UN is evil, and it's not. The UN is incompetent, and has absolutely no power, but they're not evil. Tucker White 94, you missed a bits message. God damn it, every fucking time. Sorry. I wonder why conspiracists would flip out over the triple bracket World Economic Forum triple bracket. Oh god, you're right. It probably is. I'll wait a little bit to get thinly veiled anti-Semitism, but I imagine that plays into it pretty hardcore.
The World Health Organization. So all of these are just branches of the same body, like I like to say sometimes. Like an octopus. So we're seeing all these tentacles as individuals when they're not. It's all connected to the same body. Well, who attends these meetings at the World Economic Forum? Well, two of the most influential people on the entire planet and two of the most infamous names that anybody on the internet could name is Bill Gates, George Soros.
All right. If you have thinly veiled anti-Semitism, we can do it now. God damn it. So fucking predictable with these people. Where is it on this stupid chart? Thinly veiled anti-Semitism. I hate these people. I hate them so much. Arcana Stamper Blackwell, hot take, the UN should have power. A one world government would be good, provided it's well run and democratic, of course. I don't disagree. I think it would need work from the ground up. Like, I don't think the current UN structure is what a one world government should look like, but like someday there's bound to be a world government of some sort that's going to decide laws, you know, that are more or less, you know, around the globe. You'll still have sovereign nations, but, you know, sort of like the relationship between the American federal and state governments. Like, states are sovereign, but also they're part of a federal system and therefore beholden to the laws of the federal system. I feel like at some point you'll probably have a similar system with, like, a world government, and then you'll have, you know, nation states that have their own rules, but they still have to, you know, be beholden to the international laws, and then, you know, you'd still have probably states and municipalities and stuff underneath that. It's just an extra layer to the government to ensure, like, ideally, if we're talking about it not being evil, like workers' rights around the globe. That would be great. That way you can't take advantage of someone just because they happen to live in China or India or wherever for their labor and pay them pennies on the dollar. That would be nice. But I honestly, it'll probably just be used to, I don't know, have ridiculous draconian copyright laws applied equally across the entire globe, because that's how that sort of thing tends to go. But no, I don't think the UN is inherently evil or anything like this guy does.
Of course, I've already mentioned in my Why Does the Media Love Bill Gates video, and most people are already aware that he is everywhere. He is looked to as the expert with literally no medical degree or training or schooling at all.
What? No one says Bill Gates is a medical authority. I think people respect Bill Gates for putting so much of his own money into researching, like, malaria vaccines and cures and stuff like that. That's like what the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation does primarily, is they, I think, do some stuff in terms of education for people in Africa, and they also work on cures for malaria. Like, it's a huge charitable organization. Like, I don't like the fact that we rely on, like, billionaires to try and be charitable for this sort of thing, but nonetheless, it is the system that we're working from right now, and Bill Gates uses his money in a positive way. I don't think he should have that money in the first place to the extent that he does. I think that these things should be handled by, you know, democratically elected governments via tax funds, but this is the system that we have, and in terms of billionaires, Bill Gates is like a least shitty one. How about that? Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. I'll accept a one world government as long as I'm the emperor. As emperor, I'll see to it that all are fed and get free money. I'm just kidding. I'll just resort to total hedonism. Rad.
So I've already covered Bill Gates for the most part. Then there is George Soros, where it is funny to me because doing research to this, there is all of these things debunking the conspiracies about George Soros. Don't believe what you hear on George Soros.
Correct. George Soros is the boogeyman to the political right, and a lot of these conspiracy people, whether they admit it or not, are on the right politically. George Soros is bad in the way that any rich person who lobbies is bad, theoretically, because they're using their wealth to try and, like, affect public policy in a way that other people who are just working class individuals cannot do, right? That's unethical in and of itself. But, like, he's not doing anything sinister that every other rich person doesn't also do. George Soros is not some evil mastermind up in a tower somewhere in black robes, like, yes, haha, I will destroy the governments of the world, and me and Bill Gates will take them over and plug microchips into your infants, into their bones. Like, it's not going on. He just has certain political interests, as any individual person does. It's just that he's also incredibly wealthy, so he decides to use that wealth to further his political goals. If you don't like that, then we need to get money out of politics for everyone. And I would agree with you. So yes, please, no more publicly or no more privately funded elections, please. Only publicly funded. We'll cut all of them off. It'll be good. Tucker White says, but I'll show some benevolence and see see to it that there's a daddy for every femboy. Jesus Christ. Lily loves stuff with 20 bits. I don't know. I'm not going to believe in conspiracy theories about George Soros because they're all anti-Semitic, and it's not even thinly veiled. Yeah. Tucker White 94, 20 bits. Well done, Hannah. You've done excellent work for George Soros. Blessed be his name. Phosphophyllite, thank you for gifting a sub.
What is funny to me, and I had mentioned this in the Bill Gates video, that all of these independent news stations or YouTube channels that are debunking these conspiracies are all funded, and it even says on their About page, by Al Jazeera.
Oh, please. Someone, Al Jazeera, George Soros, literally anyone, give me money for this, please. I'm doing my bestest. Yet here I am, without a check. Makes me sad, you know? What's even the point?
Who funds Al Jazeera? Bill Gates does. So, there's two people that are very influential, and they are both at the world.
I don't even think that's true. Let's take a look. Let's look at that claim. Bill Gates, Al Jazeera. Let's see. Does he have any sort of investment in Al Jazeera? There's articles from Al Jazeera. So, let's see. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave a grant to Al Jazeera in the amount of $1 million in 2012. That's not owning them. That's giving a grant from your nonprofit to a media organization. That's not the same thing. Let me see if I can find anything else. Tucker White 94, Al Jazeera gets its funding from the Qatari government. That makes sense. Marcus Drake with 100 bits. Yeah, it's owned by the government of Qatar. Okay, so basically they're just mad Bill Gates, apparently his organization gave a grant to Al Jazeera. That's not him owning them, guys. What do you think that is?
So it is kind of logical to say that they know each other, work together, or have some similar ideals if they're all going to these same meetings. Why is George Soros so important? Well, there is already plenty of information out there on how he has used his money and power to he has destroyed economies in different countries by either buying up or completely selling off currencies, so that way once it drops, he makes money on the rebuild.
Yeah, that's speculation. That's just literally like anyone who's in investing. You're describing every dirtbag who speculates on currency or stock for a living. That's all you're describing. And you're putting all the evil of that on one person instead of an entire, like, class of people whose entire job is speculation on stuff. It's not good. But again, it's not just a George Soros thing. That's an entire career. That's an entire industry.
But what?
Lily loves stuff with 20 bits. What does it say behind this, dude? My butt life? Because, I mean, same. I mean, what is... My best life. It's supposed to say my best life. That's the name of the channel. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. Strange that this guy would use Al Jazeera as a triple bracket example. A triple bracket. Usually they're used as an example of Islamic influence, yeah.
I am going to be getting at in this is George Soros, and this is not hidden. This is not a weird theory that George Soros is funding Black Lives Matter.
I mean, his organization may have given some donations to Black Lives Matter, but so have a ton of, like, corporations and private, like, charities. That's a thing? You're, again, putting, like, an action of George Soros, or an action of a bunch of different organizations, onto George Soros. Also, the implication that Black Lives Matter isn't good is pretty revealing in and of itself.
Now, it doesn't mean he's giving all of them money, but just, I believe it was earlier this year or last year, he gave $220 million. Now, that is not building a hospital.
Let's take a look. George Soros, Black Lives Matter. Here's a fact check from Reuters. Wagroads 13, Qatar is pronounced Qatar, believe it or not. Okay. I'll probably still pronounce it Qatar, even though, because it sounds weird to me to say Qatar. Further details have been added to paragraph 6 of the article, so it covers Soros' description of his time in hiding as a teenager. Okay. Social media users have been sharing an image online that makes several disparaging and false claims about George Soros. Some of these claims include Soros being a former Nazi. That's messed up. Soros, quote, swearing to destroy the USA, end quote. Soros owning Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and Soros paying for protesters. Examples can be seen here and here. George Soros is a billionaire philanthropist and founder of Open Society Foundations. He has been the target of multiple conspiracy theories and misinformation on social media. Previous Reuters fact checks debunking claims about Soros can be found here and here. Open Society Foundations told Reuters via email that the claims made towards Soros in these posts are false and do a disservice to the very bedrock of our democracy as enshrined in the First Amendment. Melodic Soul, what's this about the orgy? I don't know what you're talking about. Lila Duder with 100 bits. Lily loves stuff with 20 bits. Like, I love conspiracy theory stuff for entertainment purposes mostly, but this is always so racist. I agree. They get very racist. Tucker White says nobody cares to Wagroads. Wagroads says Canar's pronounced... Oh, that was just that. I mean, yeah, thank you for correcting me on that. I doubt I'll remember. Obviously, Soros is not a former Nazi. We'll just read this whole fact debunk. Why not? Reuters debunked a false claim that a photograph shows young George Soros in a Nazi uniform. Here, during the time Nazis were active, Soros would not have met the age requirements to be in the Schützenstaffel. Soros and his family were Hungarian Jews who lived in Budapest during the war, disguising their identities for safety. In 1947, at the age of 17, George Soros moved to London to attend university. By the time Soros was 17, the fall of Nazi Germany had already happened. Soros could not possibly have been involved in the Nazi Party, which was active between 1920 and 1945. He is also a Hungarian Jew, further disproving this theory. That's the thing that guys, he's Jewish. He's literally Jewish. This is the weirdest thing to accuse him of being a Nazi. It's messed up. There's so many things to criticize billionaires for. Why go the Nazi route? Either being a Nazi and, like, being disparaging about them being Jewish, or calling them a Nazi, which doesn't even make sense. It's so stupid. In 1988, 60 Minutes interview, there's a link, Soros says his father forged his family's identity to protect them. Soros, as a teenager, was placed under custody of a government official with the premise of being his godson. During this time, Soros witnessed, but did not actively participate in, the confiscation of Jewish property here. In the interview, Soros says he doesn't feel guilt looking back at these events, mentioning that he was a child at the time and that he was a spectator to something that would have happened regardless of his presence. Soros never swore to destroy the USA. Reuters found no evidence of Soros ever saying this. Other fact checkers have also debunked this specific quote here and here. An older version of the quote attributes it to a Newsweek interview, but there is no evidence Soros said this in their archive. One article, quote, Steve Bannon comparing politics to war, saying, quote, they fight, look at George Soros and these other NGOs, they destroy you, end quote. The article also states that according to Bannon, Soros threatened to, quote, destroy him personally, end quote. Soros does not own Antifa and Black Lives Matter. No one owns Antifa. It's not an official organization. A spokesperson for Open Society Foundations told Reuters via email, "We proudly support organizations that promote civic engagement and champion the right of all Americans to petition their government for redress of grievances. These protesting the death of Mr. Floyd and police brutality across the nation do so out of a deep and abiding concern for their country. They don't do so for pay from these foundations or any others, as some cynics claim. Black Lives Matter is a largely horizontal grassroots global organization. Its co-founders, Opal Tometi, Patrice Cullors, and Alicia Garza, started the movement in 2013 after the death of Trayvon Martin. The co-founders recently told The New Yorker that Black Lives Matter, quote, has always been somewhat decentralized, end quote, and operates in a horizontal manner. We have always said the power goes on in the local chapters because they know what's going on. The organization recently set up a $12 million grant to help organizations fighting institutional racism after an upsurge in donations amid the current protests. Beyonce and Prince are among the celebrities who have donated to Black Lives Matter in previous years. Open Society Foundations donates to groups worldwide. Some of their previous donations, including Black Lives Matter and Planned Parenthood, have been subject to controversy in the U.S. It's unclear if the foundation has donated to Black Lives Matter again in the last month. Antifa, short for anti-fascists, is an amorphous movement whose adherents oppose people or groups they consider authoritarian or racist, often using aggressive tactics according to the Anti-Defamation League, which monitors extremists here. Horizontal in nature and largely lacking official organization, it is unclear how Antifa is funded, if at all. It's not. It's literally not. And again, it's just like this stuff. Oh, it's almost done. We can finish it. Following Trump's 2016 election win, some far-right claims suggest actors including Soros funded the Not My President protests. Open Society Foundations denied paying these protesters in any way. Here and here. Soros has been mistakenly accused of sponsoring protests after Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court appointment and protests against racism in Ferguson, Missouri. Here and here. Open Society Foundations recently explained in a tweet, "We do not pay protesters, neither does our founder George Soros. Claims that we do serves to delegitimize those who are exercising their constitutionally protected right to protest peacefully and petition their governments for redress of grievances." Yeah, basically any time there's a left-leaning protest of any sort, and I mean left-leaning by the, most general of definitions, Soros gets blamed. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's a way to try and delegitimize actual protests that are going on from people who very much care about what's going on in their country. Arakaria24, are these attempts to connect Black Lives Matter to George Soros to call back to older claims that civil rights movements were being controlled in secret by Jewish people, a way to marry anti-Semitism and racism? I don't think it's intentional. I just think that anti-Semitism and racism against people of color in the United States are intrinsically linked, and people who are one to be conspiratorial are also people who are going to tend to be racist or anti-Semitic, Nazi-ish type people, so it ends up going hand in hand, It's not so much they're intentionally calling back to it as it is a case of parallel thinking. They're thinking, here are all the people that I think are evil in the world based on the kind of person they are in terms of either race or ethnicity or religious background, whatever. How can I connect all of these things? And so they wind up in these crazy conspiracy theories. Lila Duder, it's as if the right-leaning people have this weird obsession with categorization into evil groups. The Antifa gays, the Jews, the elitists, the left, all out to get them, yeah. It's very strange. It's also very fashy. It's a very fashy thing to do. Lily loves stuff. It's weird because, someone who has actually been proven to pay protesters is Trump, so they're projecting. They're always projecting. Tucker White 94. So basically, George Soros, blessed be his name, is just another boogeyman in a long line of boogeymen like Saul Alinsky, the Black Panthers, Obama, etc. Yeah. It's just a scary person for people on the right to be afraid of. It's stupid.
That is not building a school. How far do you think $220 million goes when you're just supposed to be protesting?
You can literally only care about one thing at once, don't you know that? If you care about ending hunger, then you can't care about homelessness, and if you care about homelessness, you can't care about racial justice in regard to dealing with the police, and if you care about that, you can't care about upcoming presidential, you know what I mean? Like, you can care about more than one thing at once, guys, And in society, when we're dealing with where do we allocate funds to help certain movements, whether they be about, again, lobbying for various changes to the legal system, or elections, or protests, or directly helping solve, like, homelessness or whatever, these things all require funds, and you don't have to focus on one at once. Mitchell Drummer with 300 bits. Brony profile pic returns. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. I wonder who the next boogeyman will be. My money's on Sex Abacus. Man, you really, really find Sex Abacus funny. I don't even think we've used that joke in like 5 years.
I understand you probably need your food or your water, maybe some shelter, but $220 million, you're funding a revolution. And as we have seen...
Not really. $22 million would not be enough money to fund any sort of successful revolt against any modern government. Like, that just wouldn't be enough. Do you know how much military hardware costs? Would that even buy a single tank? $22 million? How much does a tank cost? $4.3 million per unit. Okay, so 22 divided by 4.3 equals 5. We can buy 5 tanks. The revolution will involve 5 tanks against the entire United States military. It's gonna go really well, guys. Please show up on Sunday. Winchanter with 20 bits. Sex Abacus did me in my Y hole while Harold Penis been watched. Wow, that's a lot of old jokes all at once. Tucker White 94. In my defense, I still have backstage passes to Sex Abacus's first concert that never happened.
And I've done multiple videos on it. There is no solution coming from it. It is coming from their own leaders' mouths that if essentially the government and the structure system doesn't bend to their will, they will burn it to the ground and build a new one.
Lila, thank you for following.
They're also trained Marxists. They want to completely change capitalism and our entire just social structure, our government.
Oh no! Trying to change how our society functions for the better? It's so scary.
And our democracy. And they say...
Ironically, he finds this scary because the Koch brothers spent so much lobbying money making sure people on the right were afraid of anything that wasn't laissez-faire capitalism. Weird. It's almost like billionaires all over the place put money into different interests of theirs that they think will help them. Funny how that works.
Say through communism that it's equal for everybody. Now what that means is the government will be taking 60% at least of your money. You will get to keep the rest. They decide where all the money goes. They decide...
I very much doubt you would ever find a system that would... How do I put this? You're not going to find a system where your bottom tier people, your random workers at McDonald's and what have you, are getting taxed at 60%. That's not going to happen. The economy would collapse immediately. That's not at all what people in favor of like democratic socialism, people like Bernie Sanders are not saying that everyone should be taxed at 60%. They're saying that the wealthy, and we're talking about the supremely wealthy, which includes George Soros, by the way, if you're afraid of George Soros, should pay their fair share of taxes, which they don't.
What you do, what you say, what you eat.
Why would a billionaire want to fund communism, right? It doesn't really make any sense. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. So in my life, we've gone from reeling about communism to Islam to President Blackula to Occupy Wall Street to Black Lives Matter to Antifa and now back to communists. Yeah, they're always afraid of communists.
Where you go, everything. Kind of a lot like a lockdown. Now, what is this lockdown and fear-mongering from the media done? What it is only accomplished, it is all of us to divide, to separate, and to fear each other. I even did a video on people attacking other people for not wearing a mask.
It's the circle of blame shifting.
A lot of the time, they weren't wearing a mask themselves. People are getting crazy, people are getting paranoid, they're attacking each other, they're turning each other, and they are listening to only Big Brother for all of their information.
Oh no! Information from a high-level government official who's been in the federal government for literally decades is giving us information on what we should do during a pandemic. The horror. Tucker White 94, I'm just wondering when we'll get back to screeching about the British.
information and what they should be doing next. I will give you more freedom, just tell me what to do, master. It is getting completely insane. That you have to be fearing each other, where you stay 6 feet at all times. I even mentioned in the last Great Reset video that in California, that you can only have gatherings, and here's all the proof, you can only have gatherings of up to 3 households and more, and it must happen outside.
That's way too many as it is, honestly. Yeah, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Oh my god. Guys. You absolute idiot. We're up to 250,000 dead people, and only 11.4 million people have gotten it. Extrapolate that out to the entire population with the US, which is above 300 million people. If it literally went through the entire population, we would have millions of dead people. Millions and millions of dead people. How hard is this to understand? And it'll get worse, by the way, as more and more people catch it all at once, because hospitals at a certain point cap out on the number of people they can have in the hospitals to treat. And then you're going to wind up with a situation where people can't even get into the hospital, and they're all dying at home. Like, guys, this is serious. Start taking it seriously.
So we are all essentially being taught to go along with the program, and if you care about your freedom, if you care about your privacy, then you're selfish, because you are putting everyone else at risk, and you are
Guardian Indian. Oh my god, they're literally trying to protect people from a deadly pandemic. I know.
Together with your friends.
It's frustrating.
You care about your family. I mean, Thanksgiving was already canceled this year. All of this is supposed to be in the name of keeping people safe.
Correct! There is a pandemic that will kill you. Just behave. This is what frustrates me. This is these people's fault. This is the fault of these idiots. If they had actually listened, like back in March, and everyone had actually stayed inside and worn a mask for like a month, then we might have actually made some headway, and we might have been able to curb the growth of the curve, right? We might have been able to slow it down, or at the very least, like, not had as many deaths as we do have, but they didn't, and now it continues to get worse because these idiots refuse to not go outside and refuse to wear masks when they go into stores and stuff, and they're still going out to restaurants like a bunch of idiots, and it's their fucking fault. This is their fault, and they're complaining about the extra lockdowns that are happening because of them. This is their fault. It is so frustrating.
Keeping some people from getting the virus and dying, and we want
Winchanter, bring out your dead, rings bell.
Studies that have come out that for some reason never reached the mainstream news, that it is potentially more dangerous to enact a lockdown, because more people are going to be depressed, more people are going to be committing suicide. Everyone's immune system is only going to be going down from less interaction with everybody, from less interaction with the outside world.
Yeah, no. Nope. No. Lockdowns are not going to kill more people because of depression than coronavirus. Coronavirus has already killed 250,000 people, and it's not even the end of the year yet. And it started, like, really picking up 3 months into the year here. So we've basically only had it for 8 months or so. And it's killed that many people. You're not gonna get that many extra people dead because they have to stay inside for a while. Lily loves stuff with 20 bits, so why do they think New Zealand, Vietnam, Senegal, actually most of Africa, let's be honest, haven't had nearly as many deaths? That's it. Like, they don't care. They do not care. They don't care, or they listen to President Trump and they think, oh, well, everyone else is just lying about their numbers. It's so frustrating. Mr. Speth says, the right-wing tradition of pretending to care about mental health when it's convenient continues. It's one of their main cards.
The more we isolate, our immune systems continuously go down.
The immune system is built by exposure to antigens, viruses, bacteria. When you're a little child crawling on the ground, putting stuff in your mouth, viruses and bacteria come in, you form an antigen-antibody complex, you form IgG, IgM.
Guardian Eden with 20 bets. Actually, the first reported case of COVID was exactly 1 year ago today, so happy birthday, COVID. Please stop it. Yeah, that's in China, but I'm talking about in the United States. It really only started being a thing where we were getting cases going up in March. Stephen J. Neptune Man, so the Great Reset is that the globalists are having people killed because... I'm not sure. I don't think we've gotten to the point where he's explaining that yet.
This is how your immune system is built. You don't take a small child, put them in bubble wrap in a room and say, go have a healthy immune system.
Okay, but if there's a deadly virus that will kill tons of people, you do that for a little piece of time. Not forever, because the goal here is to get to a point where we have vaccines that are mass-produced. They already have vaccines. I saw of two. One that's like 90% effective from, it might be Pfizer, I'm not sure, and then there was one from another company. I know one of them had to be stored at like a really, really low temperature, so transport was an issue. But we are seeing vaccines coming out. They need to be produced and they need to be distributed, basically. Hopefully, by this time next year, we'll be able to get things somewhat back to normal if we can get these things distributed. But again, that's kind of the goalpost we were waiting for, guys. So we can get people immune without them having to go through this disease that will permanently disable their ability to breathe properly, as we're seeing with so many COVID cases. Even if you survive, you're having issues with, like, air intake. Or I think Jake mentioned in a stream a while ago, some people's teeth were falling out because there was nerve damage being done to their nerves due to, like, lack of oxygen or something. It was crazy. But, like, no one is telling you you need to stay inside for the rest of your life. That's not the goal. The goal is to keep as many people safe until such a time as we can get the vaccine distributed to people, get people in the population immune so we don't have so many transmission vectors, and then we can start opening things back up and going back to some sort of normal for whatever that means, right? It's not a conspiracy. It's literally trying to keep you from dying. You fucking children. I hate them. I hate them so much.
This is immunology, microbiology 101. When you take human beings and you say, go into your house, clean all your counters, Lysol them down, you're going to kill 99% of viruses and bacteria, wear a mask, don't go outside. What does that do to our immune system? Our immune system is used to touching. We share bacteria, staphylococcal, streptococcal bacteria, viruses. We develop an immune response daily to this stuff. When you take that away from me, my immune system drops. As I shelter in place, my immune system drops. You keep me there for months, it drops more. And now I'm at home, hand washing vigorously, washing the counters, worried about things that are indeed what I need to survive.
Doom Smoothie with 20 bits. Who the fuck is this doctor, by the way? What an absolute jackass. Was talking to my grandmother about Trump's refusing to leave office, and she dropped the information that I'm relating to not one, but related to not one, but two U.S. presidents. If I ever run for office, then I'll use that as a selling point. Hey, it worked for multiple presidents, so good luck.
If you have a normal functioning immune system, you need interaction. When a child's in a womb, you're in this protected environment. When you come out, you have almost no immune system. You develop that through touching your mouth, touching your eyes, virus, bacteria, immune response, IgG, IgM. This is how you build a strong immune system.
Okay, you're not gonna... This isn't like a flu that you're gonna get a little... now I'm fine. This isn't a fucking chicken pox party where you're gonna bring your kids over and, you know, have them get chicken pox so they can get it over with. This is not that situation. COVID has a high enough death rate and a high enough rate of complications after the fact that lead to a lower quality of life that's a bad thing. Getting it in and of itself is something to be avoided. Okay? I cannot reiterate enough that this man is an idiot. This is Ben Carson levels of I'm a doctor, but I'm stupid. I hate this man. Stone Corbell with 20 bits. Okay. So according to this dude, we should just expose people to AIDS, Ebola, and malaria, right? Like you can't say, oh well, your overall immune response might be impacted, while not also recognizing that we're talking about having a temporarily lowered immune response and keeping people safe by lowering as much transmission as possible by keeping people apart from each other versus catching a disease that will either kill you or impact your quality of life. Like, That's fine. Keep people inside. This risk-reward thing that you're talking about has already been analyzed. You are on the wrong side of it. Wing the Ultimate Nug, coronavirus is literally forcing your immune system into overdrive. I mean, a lot of diseases do that. It's true little kids need proper exposure to germs, but they shouldn't get sick, and it doesn't apply to goddamn COVID, right? You want a link? Okay, I can link this. Oops.
People are worrying too much.
Didn't mean to do that. We're 9 minutes, 40 seconds in. Here's a link for Baja, who wanted one.
When a child is in a womb, your immune response.
Worrying too much.
Of course they are, but that's from media telling them to. I am telling them sheltering in place decreases your immune system. And then as we all come out of shelter in place with a lower immune system and start trading viruses and bacteria, what do you think is going to happen? Disease is going to spike. And then you've got disease spike amongst a hospital system with...
People will probably be a little bit more susceptible to things like, I don't know, the common cold.
There's nothing funny about the
so like rhinoviruses and stuff, or they might get the flu a little easier. But that's temporary, and their immune system will bounce right back once they get outside and start interacting with other people again. But in the meantime, they're not catching COVID, right? Which is the goal. This guy's an absolute idiot. Lily loves stuff with 20 bits. It's not like chicken pox, it's more like smallpox, like chicken pox. Whatever, no big deal. It just sucks for a few weeks. Smallpox, though, I mean, we eradicated smallpox for a reason, yeah.
Furloughed doctors and nurses. This is not the combination we want to set up for a healthy society.
It's weird that most of these things were common knowledge and common sense just a year ago, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. A lot of people are...
No, you're completely misanalyzing the situation, as is that dumbass guy, right? Your slightly higher immune system relative to before lockdown is not going to protect you from COVID. That's the entire point. What don't you understand? Finding one idiot who agrees with you is not the same as getting the backing of, like, the entire medical apparatus around the globe. Tucker White 94, as this expert gives opinions outside of his field of expertise, yes. This definitely counts. That doctor's a fucking moron. Let me know, by the way, Baja, if you find anything out about that doctor. Let me find expert gives opinion outside of his field of expertise. Sure.
Now, just fearing this invisible bad guy that is just destroying the...
Okay, thank you, Baja. Baja has some links. ACEPAAEM Joint Statement on Physician Misinformation. Joint statement issued April 27th, 2020. The American College of Emergency Physicians and the American Academy of Emergency Medicine jointly and emphatically condemn the recent opinions released by Dr. Daniel Erickson and Dr. Arten Massini. These reckless and untested musings do not speak for medical societies and are inconsistent with current science and epidemiology regarding COVID-19. As owners of local urgent care clinics, it appears these two individuals are releasing biased, non-peer-reviewed data to advance their personal financial interests without regard for the public's health. COVID-19 misinformation is widespread and dangerous. Members of the ACEP and AAEM are first-hand witnesses to the human toll that COVID-19 is taking on our communities. ACEP and AAEM strongly advise against using any statements of Dr. Erickson and Massini as a basis for policy and decision-making. So there you go.
The world. It's destroying our economy. It's killing everybody. Something else I wanted to mention is it's called the 6 degrees of separation, which means that we are all potentially connected to everybody else in the world by 6 people. That you know someone that knows someone that knows someone that knows someone that knows someone, and through just a connection of 6 people, we would know and be able to interact with everyone. Now, it doesn't mean within a week, but just over time, people are only that far away. Like,
Right, which is why we're doing lockdowns and keeping people social distance and wearing masks, so we mitigate the transmission rate between people. That's the entire purpose. You're literally describing why these things are necessary, because humans are such social creatures, we interact with each other all the time, every day. Professionally, privately, whatever. That's why we are doing lockdowns, to prevent this stuff. Or at the very least, if you have to go somewhere, you wear a mask to keep your body fluids from spraying out at people. Enthusiastically Grumpy, thank you for subscribing. TubeMan642, that doctor in a few weeks, and then there's a link I'll click on in a second, and then Tucker White. Everyone knows we're only 6 degrees separated from Kevin Bacon. True.
There's nothing funny about
Let me check these links.
Capitalism.
When the patient woke up, his skeleton was missing, and the doctor was never heard from again.
I've seen this, but I'm gonna get DMCA'd for it, so no. Dr. Gamble with a link.
Right, Squidward.
Nope, that's gonna get me DMCA'd. Guys, stop sending me clips of stuff. Here's a cleanser. Okay.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
You know someone.
What'd you miss? Not a ton.
Whose uncle met the queen, or
nothing worthwhile talking about.
Like that. It's on the screen. You could read it. I don't need to give crazy examples. Let's continue with getting to the point. If this is killing so many people, and so many people are dying, and then there's just bodies in the streets, how come we never see it? I personally do not know anybody who has died from this.
Okay, you're very lucky. I'm glad you don't. That doesn't mean it's not real. 250,000 people are dead. God. It seems to me when we look at stuff like Hans Wormhat and Nathan Thompson and guys like this, it seems like legitimately the entirety of their problem with believing these conspiracy theories seems to be that they are incapable of understanding that people have experiences outside of their own experience. It's like they completely don't understand, like, that they are locked in to a body that their brain is in, and that other people also have experiences outside of their own personal one. It is so wild. Tucker White 94, does Baja sending a link disprove that idiot doctor count as Baja blasts? I don't think that counts. I don't think her just linking something counts. I think she actually has to have a rant.
There are plenty of people who have gotten sick, and all of the ones I know about have recovered with the...
Oh God, this is a question. This is a question and a half. You probably don't believe in QAnon, but what are your opinions on real and verified satanic ritual abuse carried out by the CIA? That's gonna need, I'm gonna need the most links for that claim. What are you talking about? That XY girl, you right now, and then there's a link. Sure.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Mr. Speth with 100 bits. I don't know anyone from New Zealand, therefore I don't believe in New Zealand. Yep, same idea. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. Boo. Sure.
In a week. Now, it might be a bad virus, sure. But I already mentioned in the last video that an estimated from The WHO, 650,000 people die in America alone every year from just a seasonal virus. Why have we not been doing lockdowns every single October to February if it happens every single year?
Do you understand that it's not like... It's not an either or. We're having both the flu season this year on top of COVID. It's not like COVID came in this year and was like, hey, flu, you can take the season off. I got this one. No, we're going to be dealing with both. And the death toll in the United States right now after 8 months is already 250,000 people. That's a shit ton of people. You can't just say it's only 250,000 people. And that's while we're doing lockdowns and while we're doing social distancing. They're literally doing their job. If we were going about life as if everything was normal, we would have already breached 1 million deaths. We would have already. But luckily we haven't so far, and hopefully we can at least ride this thing out until a fucking Biden administration maybe get some national mask mandates and then ride it out until a vaccine is distributed. That'd be nice, but I have a feeling things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. Tucker White 94, listen, I like The WHO, but what does a band from the 60s know about diseases? But jokes.
It is because this plan
And yes, we do have flu vaccines. Good call.
has been studied. It has been just retraced over and over. Last year, in October 19th of 2019, there was something funded by the Bill Gates Foundation and the World Economic Forum. There was something called Event 201, where they were discussing the potential of, they even called it a coronavirus, where it would spread, how fast.
Yeah, because a coronavirus is a kind of virus, you idiot. Coronavirus is not the only kind of coronavirus. It's a coronavirus. It's COVID-19. But there are other coronaviruses.
Fast it would spread, how to maintain control of the public. Just last year, well, you might think, well, maybe they knew about it. Maybe they knew it was coming. It was on the news. They're more connected than we are.
Was SARS a coronavirus? Hold on. SARS-CoV-2, is that... Was the original SARS a coronavirus, or was it just a SARS thing that's separate from COVID? Because I know COVID is sometimes called, like, SARS-CoV-2.
Well, the first reported case...
It was SARS-CoV-1? So this isn't even the first coronavirus we've had a big deal about. Guys, SARS was also a thing.
Come out until December 31st. And in this event, where all of the world leaders and not the people we see on the television, besides
There's nothing funny about
Soros,
the tools of capitalism.
That XY girl with 50 bits, my mother wrote her master's thesis on the mathematical modeling of SARS. Oh, that's interesting.
To the people behind the scenes who control the Bidens or the Bushes or whoever.
Oh my
They talk
God.
about how not only to maintain control, how to continuously be feeding propaganda to the public, to keep all of them calm and docile, how to get them to continuously go along with whatever restrictions, guidelines, and lack of freedom comes along with this.
Literally, the only freedom you don't have anymore is to breathe in other people's faces. Most states do not have a lockdown going right now. You can go to your stupid restaurants. You shouldn't, but you can. There's no law in most places that says you can't. And yeah, many companies are instating mask policies, even though it's not necessarily the law right now, because they recognize that it's good business to make sure your customers don't all die. Like, you people are literally bitching about people taking precautions to keep you safe. Fuck you.
This has been planned. What's weirder than that is 10 years ago, in 2010, there was something called the Rockefeller Lockstep Documents, or guidelines, or program, whatever. The Rockefeller Lockstep, where they were even more strenuously going through every single step on how to control misinformation, on where it was going to spread, how many people would die, how to enact lockdowns, how to maintain control, how to maintain compliance, how to continuously feed everyone.
Oh, good. The person saying the CIA carried out satanic stuff has a link. Let's see. It's from Wikipedia. Franklin child prostitute ring allegations. The Franklin child prostitute ring allegations began in June 1988 in Omaha, Nebraska, and attracted significant public political interest until the late 90s, when separate states and federal grand juries concluded that the allegations were unfounded and that the ring was a carefully crafted hoax.
There's nothing funny
That
about
seems
the
to
tools of
undercut whatever
capitalism.
point you're trying to make, but thanks for the link that said that you're wrong. PK the Lost with 20 bits. Washington State on lockdown. So happy about it. Good. Phosphophyllite with 20 bits. I live in Alabama, and the number of people who get mad about our store's mask policy depresses me. People are depressing. This is what I've learned this year. Human beings existing is depressing. You're marking satanic child abuse on the bingo? Sure, fine. We can count it. Let me see if I got it somewhere. Satanic child abuse. Man, I got a shit bingo card this week. I'm doing on the bingo call sheet. Where is satanic child abuse? It's somewhere on here. There we go. Got it. Cool. Anyway, let's get... I'll read a little bit of this. The allegations. In 1988, authorities looked into allegations that prominent citizens of Nebraska, as well as high-level U.S. politicians, were involved in a child prostitution ring. Alleged abuse victims were interviewed who claimed that children in foster care were flown to the east coast of the United States to be sexually abused at bad parties. The claims primarily centered on Lawson E. King Jr., who ran the now-defunct Franklin Community Federal Credit Union in Omaha, Nebraska, and alleged that the ring was, quote, a cult of devil worshippers involved in the mutilation, sacrifice, and cannibalism of numerous children. Numerous conspiracy theories evolved, claiming that the alleged abuse was part of a widespread series of crimes, including devil worship, cannibalism, drug trafficking, and CIA overstealing. Okay, so basically it was just a big part of the satanic panic, which is bullshit. Cool. Tucker White 94, you could just cut everything between Alabama and depresses. Sure. It was all an elaborate ruse to get a bingo. Perhaps. Perhaps. When you find out Q was a plagiarist the whole time, yeah, Q's not original.
Fear propaganda to get everyone scared of each other. The less we unite and the less we trust each other and the more we're looking at other people as just bags of germs that are just waiting to infect us from an invisible virus.
All viruses are fucking invisible to your naked eye, idiot. Do you think the common cold doesn't exist because you can't see it? You stupid bitch. I hate these people. I hate them so much.
They have no symptoms, but they are waiting to kill you. It's all fear and propaganda. We do not need to fear each other. We are a social species. Look at how fast social media has taken off just in the past 10 to 15 years. People love people. Now, if you hear it from the World Economic Forum or the global leaders, and just the short video I showed you in the last Great Reset video, that we are polluting, we are destructive, we are just a horrible species that needs to get in line. That's not how I ever see it.
There's nothing funny.
Okay, we are polluting and we are destructive, though. Those things are true. I'm not saying you need a new world order to, like, lock people in their homes, but that's not what's happening right now either. But also, yes, you should care about the fact that we're destroying our environment. Not even for some, like, heady, moralistic, oh, we should be kind to the trees, Captain Planet shit. Literally, I do not care if you care about that. I think you should, but fuck it. You don't have to care. You can literally piss on a raccoon if you want. I don't care. What you can't do is be stupid enough to not realize if we ruin the environment, we'll all die because we live in the environment. You stupid, stupid people. I hate them. I hate them so much. Pfft, the environment? Who cares about the environment? Me! I'm one of the idiots who lives in it! What are you doing?
I see it as, yes, we all have disagreements.
Tucker White 94. Now give me my space, trying to get me to say a certain thing that I'm not going to say. No.
We all possibly have arguments at times, because we are all different. Just the fact on how kind of confused.
There's nothing funny
how
about the tools of
Yo-Yo33, thanks for subscribing. 3-month streak.
Is Joe Biden, of course, going on and on about how Trump ruined so much.
Yeah. As it turns out, Orange Man bad. Unironically, Orange Man bad.
About him in the lockdown.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
When we're hearing
Tucker White 94, worth a try. Now have some. Oh, like from Captain Marvel? Right. 74 Quinn 74 with 50 bits. We live in an environment. True.
all this virus and how much damage Trump has done. And then as soon as Biden is said to be elected,
hold on. Let me double check something. It does in fact look like Joe Biden has won the election. Fun fact.
There is mass parties and celebrations for their new savior out in the streets of thousands upon thousands of people.
For the record, I don't think people should have been out in the streets celebrating either. I'm gonna say that shit. If you went outside around a bunch of other people and were like, yay, Biden won! Fuck you. Fuck you. Go back inside. What are you doing? What are you doing? Fuck you. If you went outside into a big crowd of other people, even if you're wearing a mask, fuck you. Get back inside. There's not an exception for this shit. I get it. I'm also excited that Donald Trump is no longer going to be the president. But it does not stop the disease that is happening. Get back inside. It's not even that much to celebrate. Joe Biden's gonna be the president, okay? This is not like this big woo! This is like, oh, thank God. Oh, God. We averted the train coming straight at us, but now we're going the wrong way down the freeway and stuff's still coming at us, but at least the train didn't hit us, right? Don't go outside for this shit. It's not cool. Lily loves stuff. Wait, Hannah, who won the election? You also missed my last bits message. Let's see. Ah, yes. Sleepy Joe Biden has won the election and Donald Trump has lost. And then the previous bits message was... Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Why can't I find it? How far back is it? You sure? You sure you did one? Because I'm going back 14 minutes and I don't see one. Unless it was a long time ago. Oh, you didn't send the bits. There it is. Cool. DC Trump supporter bar gets $2,000 in fines for maskless crowds. Yeah, people should not be outside. Stop it. Stop this shit. Okay? Solomon 52, they aren't celebrating Biden, they're celebrating the orange man getting booted. Okay, sure, fine. Still, don't go outside in a group of other people to do that. Make a Zoom call and be really happy about it. But I don't like this shit. Not only is this unhealthy, I do think it makes the left look bad, because it is incredibly hypocritical. I think this is hypocritical. Don't do this shit.
The weirdest thing is there are stories saying that lockdowns can do more harm than good, but they're continuously also saying that not only is lockdowns required and that we need to social distance, but that these protests are actually helping coronavirus. That if you go out and protest, you are not going to contract the virus. But if you accidentally hold someone's hands, or you don't go wear a mask when you get gas.
Accidentally hold someone's hands? How often does that awkward situation happen to you that you're bringing that up? It's kind of a weird example.
I've always worked in restaurants. It was restaurants or construction. I've always been kind of the general, like, blue-collar worker.
There's nothing funny about the tools
we have always just been used to it.
Lord Necro with 20 bits. Joe Biden didn't win the election. It's nothing more than the deep state's gay agenda. That doesn't count for any of the things that were just included in that.
And every year, people get...
This is the rule, guys. And I'm saying it to stop. The rule is now, if you try and trick me into saying things that are on the bingo card, it no longer counts. You did it. You made me force a rule change. If it's someone having me say something in a bits message, it does not count. Period. Starting now.
Sick, and oh no, Johnny got sick. He's the first one. Eventually, it's gonna get all of us. That's what happens. Or a customer comes in, they get someone sick, and it's spread. That's what happens. Our immune systems grow. We do not hide from each other. We do not fear a virus or sickness. The world is covered in germs.
Does this include cheese? It does include cheese. Me saying that doesn't count now. You've ruined it. See what you've all done?
Cannot run and hide.
The troublemakers have ruined it for the whole class.
We get sick, we get better, we grow, we learn, we evolve. Yes, of course, some people, it might be worse for others, and some people might not make it, but that's what happens. 665,000 people die every year, and that is from the World Health Organization alone. Seasonally. A lot of people might not be old enough to realize, and it's not like it was that.
Wasn't it already the rule? It may have been. I don't remember. I don't remember the. If you think I remember anything I've ever said about anything, you're sorely mistaken.
In the great scheme of things, but this is very similar, and this was also still their plan then. After 9/11, when all of these draconian security tactics started, and it was always said, well, this is for now. This is until we kind of just get things figured out, work out the bugs in the system, get the kinks
We did
out.
hit the sub goal, by the way. Thank you,
kind
everyone
of
who's
get a
either
little more
subbed or
strict for
gifted
now.
subs or anything. I appreciate it.
And then
It's only the
most kids
17th,
were
and we already hit our goal for the
10,
month.
15,
It's been a really
20
good
years
month.
old. they don't even remember what it was like before. That we didn't live in fear. We didn't have to strip down and we didn't have to be so worried that oh,
I should know better. Collective punishment is a war crime. You'll never get me to the hog. How do they pronounce? How?
I'm not trying to make light
how?
of what did happen.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
What I'm saying is
International Court. The hog. The how. Whatever. Lily loves stuff. The Haig. Haig? Okay. Lily loves stuff, and that's why people shouldn't go to restaurants right now. Hell, at my job, the floor we all call Gen Pop, it's the call center, get wiped out because one person, kid brings the cold, and we all go down hard. It's why we're not going back to the office until maybe July. Yeah. Hague. The Hague. There we go. That sounds right.
Because of fear, in the hope of security and safety, what will the world look like? And what are they trying to make the world look like?
So far, we only have 3 minutes left. I still don't know what the Great Reset is supposed to be. He did not explain this well at all. It just seems like general New World Order stuff that these people believe in, but without any specifics attached.
According to, I believe it's the Washington Post, but it's everywhere now, and this story, I believe, was from June or July. Over 100,000 small businesses have already closed, and that is in sense what I was trying to get at in the last Great Reset video, and if this is the first one you're seeing, please check that out. And this, once all things are laid out, it's obvious, but most people are just...
There's nothing funny about
you're too busy. Most people, they don't need to do the research, or they don't want to put the pieces together, and you're just living your life. It's understood.
Turn them off and on again? I don't think I want to turn this guy on. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. This is just a retelling of the Illuminati argument, basically. Me saying that does not count as Illuminati if I need to say it.
This much effort into propaganda, it's understood how people get taken by it. So if a minimum of 100,000 small businesses have already closed their doors.
That XY girl with 100 bits is a teacher. I must inform you that modern pedagogy, teaching science, discourages collective punishment, but in seriousness, love you, Hannah, you're wonderful, and I enjoy the heck out of your streams. Thank you.
That is going to continue the gap from the rich and the poor, the upper class to the lower class, and as people love to say, there is not going to be a middle class anymore. Everyone is going to be working for someone else. Everyone who was their own boss but barely getting by is no more. We're all going to have to look towards the big companies that can survive because they run the planet. It's funny.
It's almost like we should reorganize society in some sort of new way in which the people who make these companies function by doing labor for them should somehow collectively own the companies themselves, since they are in fact what makes the company work. Some sort of new order for the world.
During all these lockdowns, no
Tucker White 94, he's so close to figuring it out. Yeah.
Amazon warehouses or Amazon fulfillment centers had closed. Why is that?
Because they don't want their employees to die.
It's because the big companies are just going to get bigger. For some reason, they're not looked at under a microscope. So if we understand they have been preparing for this, well, you might think, well,
there's nothing funny
they've
about
been
the tools
preparing
of
for this
capitalism.
because it was inevitable.
That needs a space when someone's close to figuring it out. That would get immediate. So many of these conspiracy theories work on the premise that these people realize that the world and the order in which we are put in our place in the hierarchy that we have in terms of like economic power, they recognize it, but their conclusions about it are entirely wrong, and it's pretty frustrating. Like, they recognize that there is this, like, 1% ruling class that basically are private sector monarchs that are controlling the world, but instead of recognizing that that's a problem with the system and that we need to change how ownership of large companies and ownership of companies in general works in regard to the workers and what they get out of their jobs, instead of recognizing that, they just go completely bonkers and go, oh, the system isn't evil in and of itself. There aren't misgivings in the system that we currently work from. It's evil actors within that system that are just inherently evil. Like, it's real bad. King Gendo with 100 bits. I think our society should be the most social, the socialist, if you will. I can get on board with that.
Maybe it was inevitable, and maybe it's being blown out of proportion. But even a few years ago, which another thing that didn't make it to the mainstream and is not talked about today, is the World Health Organization was already caught leaking a virus because they had ties with the same pharmaceutical company that had patented the vaccine a year prior.
Now I gotta go find where his claim on this is. Hold on. Global destruction. It should be very close to the end. Okay, I don't see an actual citation for that one. I'm shocked. I'm not
What
shocked.
another strange coincidence.
Breaking news. Who doesn't care about you? Who knew? Let me see if I can find... Who doesn't care about you? Who knew? That's not helpful. Maybe that's just a graphic he put up and it's not actually the title of the article.
That this company patents a vaccine for, I believe it was a certain kind of swine flu. And then a year later, somebody makes a mistake or something and it was released in Australia. And there was no lawsuits, there was no restrictions on them.
Okay, someone fucked up. If that happened, then that would be a fuck up. That happens. Oops, I accidentally clicked on something.
They just continue to go about their business.
Stay tuned for part 3. If you haven't yet, check out part 1. Bill Gates video, the media. Oh, God. I'm adding this person to the list of conspiracy people, because they seem like a reliable source of cringy conspiracy nonsense. I don't know. That whole video, I was trying to figure out what exactly the Great Reset is supposed to be, and I still don't know. So... I guess the title of this video is probably going to be clickbait, because it's going to be, what's the Great Reset? I don't have an answer, sorry. The video didn't tell me. That's a shame.
There's nothing funny about the tools of
Lily Love Stuff,
capitalism.
found it. Oh, you got a link? Thank you. His source is vaccinesideeffects.com. Wow, what a reliable source that is. Oh, and look, the video on the page is from Russian propaganda TV. If I trust any network, it's the one that employs Caleb Maupin, Burger King. Seriously, though, there's a reason you didn't cite this source. It's because it makes him look like a hack. Correctly so.